Supraventricular tachycardia, or simply SVT, is not just a fast heart rate. It is a rhythm that starts without warning, accelerates instantly, and makes patients feel like their heart has suddenly lost control. One moment, everything feels completely normal, and the next moment, the heart is racing. SVT is defined as a tachycardia that originates above the ventricles, meaning the electrical problem begins in the atria, the AV node, or the pathways connecting them. The ventricles themselves are not the source of the rhythm. They are simply being driven too fast by abnormal signals coming from above. And that distinction is critical, because unlike ventricular arrhythmias, the electrical wiring to the ventricles is still intact. The heart is activating normally, just far too frequently. This is why SVT is different from sinus tachycardia. Sinus tachycardia is a normal physiological response. It builds gradually with exercise, fever, pain, anxiety, or dehydration. It speeds up slowly and it slows down slowly. SVT behaves very differently. SVT starts abruptly. It jumps instantly from a normal rate to 160, 180, even 220 beats per minute, and it often stops just as suddenly. Patients describe it perfectly. They say, "It felt like someone flipped a switch." That switch-like onset is one of the most important clues to the diagnosis. When SVT appears on the ECG, the first thing you notice is the speed. The heart rate is extremely fast, usually between 150 and 250 beats per minute. The rhythm is narrow complex because ventricular activation is still occurring through the normal His-Purkinje system. And the rhythm is strikingly regular. Every beat looks identical. Every interval is evenly spaced. There is almost no variability at all. It looks mechanical, almost too perfect. But then you look closer, and something important seems to be missing. Where are the P waves? In many cases of SVT, P waves are not clearly visible. They may appear absent, distorted, or completely hidden. This happens because atrial activation is occurring at nearly the same time as ventricular activation, or immediately after it. As a result, the P waves are often buried inside the QRS complex, hidden within the ST segment, or reduced to tiny deflections that are easy to miss. The atria are still active, you just can't see them clearly. And this combination is classic. A fast heart rate, a narrow QRS, a perfectly regular rhythm, and no obvious P waves. That pattern should immediately make you think of SVT. The underlying reason SVT behaves this way is re-entry. Re-entry occurs when an electrical impulse finds a circular pathway and becomes trapped. Instead of stopping after one beat, it keeps looping over and over again. Each loop triggers another heartbeat. Once that circuit is established, the heart becomes locked into tachycardia. There's no gradual buildup. There's no gradual slowing. The rhythm is either on or off, and as long as the loop remains intact, the heart cannot slow down on its own. At rates of 180 to 220 beats per minute, the heart begins to struggle. Diastole becomes extremely short. Ventricular filling is reduced. Stroke volume drops. Even though the heart is beating fast, cardiac output may actually fall. Speed does not equal efficiency. That is why patients feel so unwell. They experience sudden palpitations, chest tightness, shortness of breath, dizziness, anxiety, and sometimes near syncope. Many patients can point to the exact second the episode began. SVT is dramatic because it represents a sudden loss of electrical control. The heart is fast, regular, and relentless. And unless something interrupts the circuit, it may continue for minutes, hours, or longer. And that brings us to the most important question. What exactly is the circuit? Where is it located? And how do we break it? To understand how supraventricular tachycardia is treated, you must first understand where the electrical loop lives. Because in SVT, treatment works only when it targets the circuit itself. The two most important mechanisms behind SVT are AV nodal reentrant tachycardia and AV reentrant tachycardia. They sound similar, but the location of the loop and the clinical risk are very different. Let's start with AV nodal reentrant tachycardia, or AVNRT. In AVNRT, The reentry circuit exists entirely within the AV node. The AV node is not a single pathway. It contains two functional conduction pathways, a fast pathway and a slow pathway. The fast pathway conducts impulses quickly, but it has a long refractory period. The slow pathway conducts impulses more slowly, but it recovers faster. Most people have both pathways, and most people never know it. A VNRT begins when a premature atrial impulse arrives at exactly the wrong time. The fast pathway is still refractory, so the impulse is forced down the slow pathway. By the time the impulse reaches the lower part of the AV node, the fast pathway has recovered. The impulse then travels backward up the fast pathway, re-enters the atria, and completes a loop. Once that loop is established, the heart rate jumps instantly and locks in place. On the ECG, AVNRT produces a fast, regular, narrow complex tachycardia. P waves are usually not visible because atrial and ventricular activation occur almost simultaneously. When P waves are seen, they are often tiny and appear immediately after the QRS complex. Clinically, AVNRT is the most common form of SVT. It often occurs in young or middle-aged patients with structurally normal hearts. The episodes feel dramatic, but they are usually not life-threatening. And this is why AVNRT responds so well to treatment, because the AV node is the circuit. Anything that slows or temporarily blocks AV nodal conduction will terminate the rhythm instantly. Vagal maneuvers work, adenosine works, and when the circuit breaks, the tachycardia stops abruptly. Now contrast this with AV reentrant tachycardia, or AVRT. In AVRT, the problem is not inside the AV node. Instead, there's an accessory pathway, an abnormal electrical connection between the atria and ventricles that bypasses the AV node entirely. This accessory pathway allows impulses to travel in directions they normally should not. Together with the AV node, it forms a large re-entry circuit involving the atria, ventricles, AV node, and the accessory pathway. This mechanism is classically seen in Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. A VRT can occur in two forms. In orthodromic AVRT, the impulse travels down the AV node and returns up the accessory pathway. Ventricular activation is normal, so the QRS complexes are narrow. This rhythm can look very similar to AVNRT on ECG. In antidromic AVRT, the impulse travels down the accessory pathway and returns up the AV node. Ventricular activation is abnormal, producing wide QRS complexes and extremely rapid heart rates. This rhythm can easily be mistaken for ventricular tachycardia and carries much higher risk. A VRT is more dangerous than AVNRT for one critical reason. Accessory pathways do not slow impulses the way the AV node does. If a patient with an accessory pathway develops atrial fibrillation, hundreds of atrial impulses can conduct directly to the ventricles. Ventricular rates can exceed 250 or even 300 beats per minute. This can degenerate into ventricular fibrillation and cause sudden cardiac death. This leads to one of the most important clinical rules in cardiology. In pre-excited atrial fibrillation, AV node blocking drugs must never be given. Beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, digoxin, and even adenosine can be dangerous. Blocking the AV node forces all impulses down the accessory pathway and accelerates the ventricular rate even further. This is where clinical decision-making becomes critical. The first question in any patient with SVT is stability. Is the blood pressure low? Is there chest pain? Is there altered mental status or pulmonary edema? If the patient is unstable, the treatment is immediate synchronized cardioversion. No delay, no medications. If the patient is stable and the rhythm is irregular, narrow, complex tachycardia, vagal maneuvers are attempted first. If they fail, adenosine is given. Instant termination confirms a reentrant SVT. If the rhythm is wide, irregular, or there is known Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, AV node blockers are avoided. In these cases, procainamide or electrical cardioversion is used instead. SVT behaves like a light switch. Once the circuit breaks, the rhythm stops immediately. There is no gradual slowing. There is no warning. Understanding where the loop is tells you everything: the ECG pattern, the symptoms, the treatment, and the risk. A VNRT is a reentry circuit inside the AV node and is usually benign. AVRT involves an accessory pathway and carries greater danger, especially in the presence of atrial fibrillation. Recognize the mechanism, choose the correct treatment, and you don't just stop the rhythm, you prevent catastrophe. And that completes the story of supraventricular tachycardia. If you found this explanation helpful, make sure to like the video and leave a comment below. We read your feedback closely, and it directly influences future content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.